Okay, so we have sent everybody back in. Clear off and go and play your games, because we're going to play with the real toys. So, John, this is Dixie.
This is Dixie.
Right. I don't even know what questions to ask about Dixie, so can you just start talking and I'll nod?
All right, yeah, that sounds about fair. So this is a 1945 built Ford Jeep. This is your ambiguous Jeep. There was hundreds of thousands of these built from about 1940 to 1945. They were used right through the Second World War and straight into post-war as well. Some of them still in service in the 70s. And that's how good these little things were.
Well, look, let's get to the important stuff, okay? What are these little wooden blocks here with this bit of fabric on top?
This is for when you're driving with the top down.
Uh-huh.
Because your canvas roof comes back and your windscreen folds forward.
So, oh, so the windscreen sits on top of that there. Yep.
It all folds forward and you can drive with your top down.
I thought I had him caught out there, but clearly I didn't. All right, other details on it, right? So, come round this way. I'll wait for you. There we go. I want to talk about things with colour on them, because for this weekend, a lot of the reason I'm looking at these stuff in the uniforms is because I'm trying to get an idea of colours and little details that we can put onto our models and our miniatures that, I don't know, in some way make them feel that bit more authentic. Yeah. One of the things that we found whenever we were building up to the boot camp was that every time we went back over a series of models, like the aircraft, for example, we had the aircraft to a level that we thought, yeah, they look pretty good. And then Lloyd said, you know what, we should try and get another little flashes of colour on it here and there. And when we did, they went from looking really good to actually looking really great. Yep. Those little splashes of colour made all the difference. So what about the yellow plate here, John? Is it from the period, or is that...
Yeah, that's from the period. It's called a bridging plate. When they built your Bailey bridges and stuff, your throw-together bridges, they needed to know what weight everything was travelling across it, because it had a weight limit.
Gotcha. So bridging plate for your bridge weights.
So your tanks had 30 on the bridging plate. You had other vehicles that have had 20 or whatever weight they were, or whatever maximum weight they were.
And whereabouts on a tank would that have went? At the front?
On the front, yeah.
So if we did little yellow circles on the front of our tanks and put like a 30 or something like that in it, that would work just as well as that.
Colour on there as well, yeah.
Awesome. Now, is the number plate?
That number plate is post-war.
That's a post-war.
That's the first civilian plate it had after it was sold away from the British Army. So.
Okay. Further on up, you have the star on the top. Now, I'm going to be asking kind of what will seem like stupid questions to people that are well into their historical, but it turns out all the Allies had star of some format. I thought a star was an American thing. And then when I got into my Soviets, I realized, well, hang on, they have exactly the same star, just a different color. Yeah. And it turns out the British markings had the star as well. Yeah. And was there any way of telling them apart to know a British star from an American star? Obviously, the Soviet stars were often yellow, so
red as well.
Yeah.
So, no, the Allies basically picked this as their air recognition sign.
So this is so that you could spot it from
air.
Planes.
If you're flying low enough to come in and do a strafing run, you might see the star before you hit the trigger and go, what, friendly unit, and pull away. And
is there any reason why some of them are like this, or did they all have the circle around it?
It was done more, this would have been the pattern they wanted to go with, but if you didn't have time, you just drew the star and you painted it in if you didn't have time to do all this with the stencil.
Okay, further on up then, our next splashes of colour, we have a red badge and a blue badge. Yep. Firstly, can you tell me what they are, and tell me, would there be alternative things in those locations?
Yeah. So these are your divisional marking. In this case, this is the all-seeing eye of the Guards Armoured Division. So that's your British Armoured Division. Over here in the red square denotes it being an armoured regiment vehicle. Yeah. The number represents which regiment it is. So in the Guards Armoured Division, you had 50, 51, 52, and 53. 52 is Coldstream Guards, 53 is Irish Guards, and then so on, and they had Welsh Guards and so on as well. Okay. Alternative markings, the layout will stay the same. The divisional marking will be on the left-hand side of the vehicle, regiment on the right, and it'll go from a red square to maybe a triangle or something like that, denoting what regiment it is.
And you'll find that kind of thing in some of the Osprey books, or in maybe even in your army book, possibly, I don't know. Right, just round this side, Justin. So over here, I'll let Justin go that way. Over here, John, what is this?
That is the vehicle recognition number. A lot of the times they use the vehicle's chassis number, so if you looked underneath the vehicle, you got the chassis number, you stenciled that on the side. Yeah. That is basically just a record of that vehicle. Every time that vehicle would change division or change regiment, that would be noted down as this vehicle has arrived and been reassigned, that sort of thing.
And the little 30 beneath it, just there?
30s. are your tire pressures in pounds per square inch.
Yeah.
So you'd have seen it a lot on the light soft skin vehicles, the trucks and that. Just as a quick recognition to go, that tire needs to have 30 pounds of pressure in it, that sort of thing.
One of the things that's really striking me here is there's nothing superfluous on these things. You know, every bit of detail and whatever that's on it has a reason, and it has a very functional purpose for being there. Okay, moving on round into the actual Jeep itself. Like, you know, we often chuckle about all the shades of green that we're doing, but it really is just lots and lots of shades of green. Yeah. The only difference comes from texture rather than color. Yeah. So you have the texture of the actual Jeep seats is maybe a bit more weathered, a bit more worn looking than the rest. Now, weathering. Let's talk weathering. Can you get down here, Justin, just very slightly, and you can see along this edge here, where you're getting in and out of the Jeep, you'll see all these little red chips. That's the base coat, John.
That's your primer coat,
And is that what this would have looked like in wartime? It would have had them red chips.
Either red or a light green. It would have been another shade of green in the primer. They might have had a lime green sort of primer coat underneath it. But eventually, the more this is used, that would become bare metal. So you're climbing in and out a lot more, and that would just wear down to bare metal.
Okay, so you have three options if you want to do your weathering sponge effect. You can either use red, or maybe that lighter green, or even just go with a bolt gun. Or I suppose this is quite a light metal, so maybe one of the bright silvers might be better. There's a tip. Okay, moving around the back, we have another little star for markings.
We have a repeat of our divisional markings on the back.
Yep. So the red square and the blue flash. And then other details around this side, you have the axe and the spade. Yep. Now, even the axe handle is green. Yeah. So all of the, it's like, the only thing that's different is the axe head. So all of this say, oh, I need to paint the axe handles wood. No, you can just paint them green. It's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Well, John, thank you very much for bringing Dixie along. Big thanks to John and his father for going to that and giving the attendees a chance to have a look around it and giving us a chance to film it and chat to you guys about it. That is Dixie. I think she's awesome.